Oh, well, it doesn't help that I completely forgot where I was now. um, Doobie doobie doo. Y'all, this is not how I like to do these things. This, okay. Whew. Not how I like to play this game. Anyway. So. Yeah. So, okay, so Hollywood. I was talking about Hollywood, then I got off onto some other stuff. Started talking about freedom. So, we can trade freedom as a currency for security. Now, if you trade zero freedom for zero security, you are not an incorporated being, you're not alive. I said that. So on one end of your scale, you have absolute, actual nihilism. Not just the philosophy that nothing matters, but you become the nihilated nothing, as Heidegger would have it. And reference Sein und Seitz. Go pick up a copy of Being in Time to learn a little more about thingliness, thrownness, and the nihilating nothing, the nothing that nihilates, the nothing that nothings. It's the nothing is a thing in and of itself, which actually causes things to cease being. And then on the other end of that, you could trade away your entire liberty, all of your freedom, and now you're functionally in the Matrix. You are locked into an absolute safety shell where all of your basic needs are met. So, communism, socialism, those are way, way down the scale, closer to the end, with being locked up in a protective cocoon and basically fed nourishment through a tube. Because at that point you don't have the freedom to choose to eat delicious things like caprese salad and roast beef. California has chosen to trade its freedom and liberty away in the form of ever-increasing taxes, ever-increasing burdensome regulation. And what's the result? This is home sweet homeless. California has come to be just covered up. I found pictures from Fresno, LA, San Francisco, Orange County. I mean, just all up and down, basically everywhere but San Diego. California's been just gotten covered up in these, and I'll come back to this bit in a second. Tent cities all over the place in California. And, the hypodermic needle problem. California has drug problems. The median income in California is less than $30,000. And think about that for a minute. You've got all the Hollywood millionaires and billionaires living in California and bitching and crying about millionaires and billionaires. And the average income is less than $30,000. Now, how do you get there? Well, you get there with a gigantic population of homeless people in tent cities whose annual revenues of zero reported income have an effect on that median. So there's this video that came out just recently about this, not the Kimmel, and it doesn't matter if you can hear the audio. There really isn't any audio. This is just I guess some guy strapped a GoPro on his bicycle and rode through. And we're not going to sit here and watch the whole thing, but I'll let it play for a little while behind me while I talk. This is California. I think this is the one in Orange County along the Orange County hike river trail. This guy rides his bike for a full 10, 12 minutes. He's riding along at a pretty good clip. I mean, he's going what? He's probably going 10 miles an hour. Maybe a little more. But at a decent clip on a bicycle. He's not flying, but he's not walking either. And you see Tent City for 10 solid minutes. And look behind the Tent City. This Tent City is not just on the outskirts somewhere. It's pressed up behind nice apartment buildings. As we get a little bit further down, you'll see that it's pressed up in other places behind business parks. And there's a couple of places where you can see like playgrounds with children playing. Guys, this is how you got there. So the U.S. Weekly News Report list of rankings ranked U.S. states in a hierarchy based on how good it is to live there for their health care, their quality of life, so on and so forth. California, the land of Hollywood liberals and government programs, dead last. 50th for quality of life. The worst place in America to live. And remember, this place, which is the worst place in America to live, this place, which is the worst place in America to live, has a population of 39 million. The state of California is home to just over 10% of the population of the United States and is dead last for quality of life. And I'm a little aggravated with myself now. I'm drawing a blank. I can't remember what the top four were, but they were all flyover country, Midwest, low population density places. Without plumbing, you missed. I think I misunderstand what you're trying to say there, Rod. I get the 50 shots at developing a successful model, and Cali is always the outlier. Yes. Apart from them just being full of shit, I don't know what the without plumbing gag is. And remember, we're also talking about a place where it's a sanctuary state. As of the 1st of this year, California is a sanctuary state. That means that they are actively in open rebellion. And I want to hear more people use the language correctly. To be a sanctuary state, it is one thing to not provide police forces to enforce federal law. Posse Comitatus Act. Yes, Rod. The tent cities do not have plumbing, and that's something else I was going to mention, especially in San Francisco, where there's a big one just right in the middle of the city, a big tent city right in the middle of the city. the homeless people they're actually like stepping just outside of the tent city and just shitting openly on the sidewalk. And like Dad and I were talking about the other day, that's not a function of their being homeless. That's being actively vile. That's somebody going out of their way to be offensive, to be gross. And just shit in the streets. Oh! Just like in Afghanistan? Pick your shithole country. There was all that stuff about the shithole countries when the Donald allegedly made the comment about shithole countries. Well, let's not forget, this is not entirely metaphorical. These locations are physically, we're talking about countries, mostly mountainous regions where the population lives in the valleys between the mountains, and they defecate openly in the street. So when we say shithole countries, we do mean literal depressions in the physical earth, which are filled with human feces. That's what these places are. California, other side of the mountain, it's people are shitting in the streets. It's a shithole state. There we are. Boom, boom. So, what's to be done about it? Well, nothing. I say we do nothing about California. Let them die a death. Let the state collapse. Here's the problem with that. Here's my concern about that. California has a very high density of bad voters. I don't mean I'm not accusing them of voter fraud. Not in this conversation. I'll be happy to accuse them of voter fraud in another conversation and supply evidence to support the claim. But no. Bad voters. California has been voting for Democrats for as long as we can remember. And the result is what it is. We see clearly what the result is. The state is falling into disrepair. Their state debt is extraordinary. They've declared themselves a sanctuary state. They will not enforce the law. And it's just going to have to fall off. But one of the problems with the decline of California, U-Haul, Ben Shapiro pointed out earlier that U-Haul, I think it was one of the trucking companies, I'm pretty sure it was U-Haul, was pointing out that to rent a truck to move from Los Angeles to Houston is $3,200. But to move from Houston to Los Angeles is $1,100. And it is because the price difference is precisely because of the staggering disparity in demand for people who are trying to move out of California over the number of people moving to California. Well, and, Rod mentions Ronnie Reagan. Yeah, thing about Reagan is, though, but I mean, Reagan was a Democrat until he wasn't. Kind of like the Donald. Remember during the election back in 2016, we kept hearing stuff about, well, Donald Trump used to be a Democrat. Yeah, well, so did Ronald Reagan. Yeah. So, but Ronnie Reagan, he grew up and got smart and stopped being a Democrat and went on to be one of the most successful and beloved presidents in United States history. And what did they? And God, the news, the media, the reporters, they said all the same shit about Reagan that they're saying about Donald Trump now. Oh, he's stupid. He doesn't read. He's just a playboy. He's just an old rich white guy. He's crazy. He may have dementia. He's old and he's losing his mind. And tax cuts will never work. Well, evidence is a bitch because it doesn't care about your feelings. There's a quote about being more liberal, younger. Yes, the quote, Felicia. Yes, babe. There's a quote about being more liberal, younger, and then being more conservative when you're. The quote is often attributed, and I think incorrectly, but usually attributed to Winston Churchill, and it is that if you are not a liberal when you're young, then you don't have a heart. And if you're not a conservative when you're older, you don't have a brain. I've always found that statement to be amusing, but I've always found the statement to be amusing, but frankly, I was never a leftist. I was never a lefty liberal type of guy. I am a liberal in the classic sense of the word. I believe in liberty. This leftist, authoritarian, tyrannical, high tax and spend madness that has become the far left and the extreme left and the slightly less extreme left. Because in this country we have, they talk about the alt-right, the far right, and the alt-right. Which of course the truth of the matter is that the far right is further left than the alt-right, and the alt-right is so far right that they're actually really far left. And then of course you've got your left-wing party, the Republicans, and then you've got your far left madness, your far left tyrannical, fascistic, communist Democrats. Rod, it would be interesting that's something that'd be interesting to look up. Are there more people living in tents in California than in Puerto Rico after the Cat 5? That'd be worth looking into. No. No, that's not correct. He was definitely speaking about the dichotomy of left versus right, liberal versus conservative. And yes. Okay. Well, guys, I think I'm about spent. I've run out the stuff that I wanted to talk about. Jimmy Kimmel's an idiot, and he believes that California needs more dickless men, and of course, all the actors and actresses in Hollywood, all the stars that make our movies agree that Hollywood needs more dickless men, and I'm left here wondering, how many more can you get? Aren't you running out of room? I'm not going to go into the cognitive test tonight, babe. That just it's old news. It's played out, and I've done it before. But I think that's about all I've got for you tonight. So I'll see you next Sunday. And until then, remember, if you build a man a fire, you'll keep him warm for the evening. But if you set a man on fire, he'll be warm for the rest of his life. Good night.